Placid now is but a calm deception, for beneath this mountain, when moon and water reconcile, the secret river of life will be revealed. The key. Where is the key?
You are listening to They Must Be Destroyed on Sight. The following podcast contains adult language, adult situations, and spoilers for the movies discussed occur often. You've been warned. Now, take it away, Dr. Rausch.
They must be destroyed on sight.
And welcome back. It is They Must Be Destroyed on Sight, Intermission episode 32. And I am your host, Lee. Drunk plenty of tea in Mayfair without finding dead bodies at my feet, Russell. I'm joined by my co-host, Lee. Already killed 15 men, Hardy. How are you doing, ma'am?
Feeling fantastic after those 15 kills. It's quite the adrenaline rush. Yeah.
You did them in all specialized ways, either, after plagues or just comically on the nose kills.
A large fan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we're joined again by our other co-host, Paul. Regal claws of noble birds guard well your place of rest. For those poor fools that dare intrude, the penalty is death. Ramali, how are you doing, sir?
Very good. Also known as a big, hot cup of man milk.
And we are back. We are covering the sequel to The Abominable Dr. Phibes that we did in the last intermission episode. Here we're doing Dr. Phibes Rises Again from 1972.
He lives. From the depths of this unholy tomb, the Avenger rises, the Abominable Dr. Phibes, the most deadly mastermind of all crime. Specialist in the fine art of bizarre murder, each more different, each more devilish than the last. The scorpions embrace.
You bloody rat!
The eagles caress. The sausage machine. The one-hand persuader.
Nothing to say, sir.
Touché, Dr. Phibes. And as another victim falls, the world awaits your next blow of vengeance. Only one man, only one menace, only one diabolical mind could create such chilling terror.
That's not a common thief, sir. Then, Inspector, you are faced with an impossible task. Well, there's no force in all the world could win a fight against such a supreme opponent.
Run, but you can't escape him. Hide, but he'll find you. Scream, but no one will hear you.
And this is again directed by Robert Fust, written by him, Robert Blees, James Wilton, and William Goldstein. Again, we have the excellent Vincent Price as Dr. Anton Phibes. And now we have Robert Quarry as Darius Biederbeck. And Robert Quarry at this time, and I'm sure Paul is familiar with this guy. Count Yorga Vampire and The Return of Count Yorga are his big roles around this point, right? He was kind of situated by AIP at this point as like their new big horror star. And there's actually like a real rivalry behind the scenes between Vincent Price and this guy, apparently. They did not get along.
I just heard a very nice interview with him. They were discussing Count Yorga and the problems he was having filming it. And the one day he's like, fuck it, I'm done, I'm leaving. And he left, but he was all dressed up in the Count Yorga outfit still. He was so mad he couldn't leave. And it was dark out and it was raining. And he's walking and he's falling in mud puddles the whole time. And he realized he didn't know which way he was going. And they found him in the woods later. They had to go and find him.
Holy shit.
But he was too stubborn to admit that he was lost and he didn't know what he was doing. But it was pretty funny listening to him.
He sounds like he was a bit of a prick because from what I read, the sort of problems he had with Vincent Price is he didn't like Vincent Price's sort of like overly theatrical style of acting and that he employed in a lot of his films, whereas Quarry really wanted to take things super serious. So he sort of butted heads with Price on that. And
this coming from Count Yorga.
But he also did a couple other notable films at this time. He did Deathmaster, which he also played a vampire in. He played a mobster in Sugar Hill, which is the black zombie movie, blaxploitation zombie movie from around this period. And he also co-starred as well in Madhouse with Vincent Price, which I believe was Vincent Price's last AIP film. And it's kind of a almost like meta film about Vincent Price and his relationship with AIP, if you kind of look into it. But like I said, he was set to be the next big star in horror. It didn't pan out because he had a really bad car accident where like he got hit by a car and it took him years to recover from it. And then he also had several other health problems afterwards because there was one incident where he was assaulted outside of his apartment and actually suffered a heart attack. He was beaten so badly.
Holy.
Yeah. Although he did live long after this, but his career was mostly in B movies after this, like really budget B movies. Although he is in Teenage Exorcist.
Yes, he is. Yeah. And he's very funny in it.
Yeah, and Beverly Hills Vampire. What's that one with fucking Beverly Hills Vamp or something like that? Like he's in some notable, like really low budget B movies over the next 20 years or whatever.
He was really good in Teenage Exorcist, though.
He is. Teenage Exorcist. Teenage Exorcist. It's really underrated, actually. Like it's a lot of fun. We have Valley Kemp as Volnavia taking over the role here. The original actress was pregnant at the time, so she could not do the role. So we'll just get another model who never had a movie career after this to fill the void, I guess, is what they did here. Because she went on to do maybe like 2 minor roles in something else, and that was the extent of her movie career. We have Peter Jeffrey returning as Inspector Trout. We have Fiona Lewis as Diana Throwbridge, and she had a little minor kind of exploitation kind of career. Notable roles: The Fearless Vampire Killers, Tinto Ria, Killer Shark, The Fury, Strange Invaders in Inner Space. She showed up in. We have Hugh Griffith as Harry Ambrose, Peter Cushing in what really just amounts to a cameo here as Captain. And we'll get more into Peter Cushing's role in this when we talk about the film. Beryl Reed as Miss Ambrose. Terry Thomas returning as a different character here as Lombardo. Doesn't get killed in this one.
Not like Longfellow.
No. And John Carter returning as well as Superintendent Waverly. And also of note, Milton Reed as the manservant Ching. This was a British Indian-born actor and pro wrestler known as Jungle Boy back in the 1950s when he started his career, became the Mighty Chang. So he became an Asian villain in wrestling. He was doing wrestling alongside the point when he was doing acting as well. Notable roles, or at least movies he appeared in: Blood of the Vampire, The Camp on Blood Island, Night Creatures. Those are early Hammer pictures, by the way, like pre-Hammer horror kind of thing. People That Time Forgot, Dr. No, The Spy Who Loved Me, The Return of the Pink Panther, and The Blood on Satan's Claw. He actually had a pretty bad end as well, apparently. Like, went back to visit his family in India and got into like some sort of weird domestic dispute, or like some sort of dispute between his family and other people that live near them. And I think got arrested and probably put in prison. And like the circumstances around his death are very sketchy. From what I understand, his widow never found out what happened to him, kind of thing. Like they just kind of think he maybe died in an Indian prison somewhere.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So we have a synopsis here from Ed Sutton on IMDb. The moon rises at a predestined angle and awakens the sleeping Dr. Phibes 3 years later. To his dismay, he finds his house has been demolished and his papyrus stolen. The scrolls he needs to find the pharaoh's tomb in Egypt where the river of life flows. After identifying the source of the papyrus theft, he packs and leaves for Egypt with his assistant, Volnavia, still intent on awakening his dead wife, Victoria. The parties responsible for the theft of 5 scrolls suffer an attrition problem as Inspector traces them across the world. Yeah, okay, sure. That's fine. We got the sequel to Dr. Phibes. It gets a little bit campier, a little bit sillier, but also bloodier. But we'll get into our sort of general thoughts here at first. And I'll throw to you first, Lady Lee. What are your sort of thoughts on this one?
I did prefer the first one. I found this one, I don't know, I didn't quite enjoy this one as much. I got a little bit confused with the storyline. I found there was a lot of jumping around where all of a sudden they were doing something different, like where they literally had to tell you where they were, because it was the obvious. And there wasn't as much like back and forth banter between a lot of the characters. And I don't think Vincent Price got as many opportunities to like act without talking, because the things with the Abominable Dr. Phibes is that there's a lot of points where his acting looks so amazing. Like the over exaggeration of everything is so good because he can't talk and he can't move his mouth. And I don't think there was as many opportunities for him to do it in this one. Like it didn't catch me. I wasn't as much of a fan on this one.
All right, Paul.
I could echo that pretty much. It's way more tongue in cheek, and and not clever tongue in cheek as much as the original one. The other one is very satire based and stuff, but this one's just more just like squeeze those jokes in, turn the screw a little bit on those joke machines.
Yeah, put everything on the nose. Like it is really. I gotta say, like you can tell it's cheaper. Like there were production problems behind this film, and like it feels like one of those things where it's like it's a rushed sequel. There's maybe not as much money behind it. The editing is much more choppy. Like like Lady Lee was saying, it will jump from one thing to another really quickly. Like you'll see a scene of Dr. Phibes in his new home or whatever doing something cool, and then there's a smash cut to like a couple people talking in a desert doing stuff, right? Like it's very scattershot in its editing, but at the same time it's definitely, there's a thought behind this production to make it more ambitious. Like they were kind of like, we got to do like the globe-trotting Dr. Phibes film where we can have Dr. Phibes set against an adversary that's a little bit more worthy than like a bunch of doctors that are unwittingly being killed, right. So there was some thought behind this, but it feels like the production kind of just cut it off at the legs, like just kind of hamstrung the entire thing. I mean, I will give it credit. It still looks really good. Like the Art Deco design and stuff from the first film it's still really present in this. And I think it helps overcome a lot of the budget shortcomings that are pretty obvious otherwise. And yeah, it just feels like they should have put more money into it. Like
it felt like they tried too hard.
Well, the other thing about this film too is it's a different dynamic than the first one. Yeah, really, the first one was a revenge-crazed Dr. Phibes killing innocent doctors that what happened was out of their hands and they tried. This guy's a prick, and now Dr. Phibes is trying to complete this noble quest to bring back his wife, and these people keep fucking with him and getting in his way, and he has to kill them. you know what I mean? Like, it's a different dynamic too.
They try to make him more of an anti-hero in this, right? Like
It's an it's an anti-hero kind of a thing.
once we get into the trivia and stuff, like there was thoughts of like making this, and I even mentioned it in the trivia in the first film. There was thoughts of making this like a big series, right? So this feels like the transition film where it's like, okay, we're going to make Dr. Phibes more of a sympathetic, like anti-hero more than like a sympathetic flat-out villain. So in this one, he's competing like a total fucking arrogant prick who is Robert Quarry here. This guy he had a vial of, I guess, the waters of this, immortality river that you can go down or whatever. Like he had a vial of it that's been sustaining him for like hundreds of years. And he's near the end of it. Like he's run out of the waters. So he's looking for like the actual river so he can keep on going. And he's just this arrogant prick who's dedicated. He's got this super hot fucking girlfriend who he won't marry. Fiona Lewis is Diana. And she's not really privy to his plans. Like she doesn't know that he's like a near immortal dude who's been alive for like hundreds of years. Like she just thinks he's this like kind of hot fucking adventurer guy who goes around, looking for ruins and shit like that. And she just wants to get married. Like she just wants someone to spend her life with. And he's like obsessed with living forever and making her live forever. And he never really clues her into his plans, right? Like he's kind of like, and that's sort of the folly of his character, right? That's what makes him the villain of this piece is he's just like, oh, she'll accept that, I'm going to make her my immortal bride or whatever. Like he never, clears it with her or anything like that.
Communication is key to a good relationship.
It is. I do enjoy how much he loves her though. Cause like even at the end, cause if you think about it, everyone was disposable to him. Everyone he could just pick off. And then there's that moment where this is the last chance for him to get this and he knows it. And he still goes and saves her instead of, like trying to just save himself.
He kind of
as much as an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he should have clued her in, right? Like, but I mean, the way the movie's structured, if he had clued her in from the get go, and she was still on board, she would have just been another villain, basically, and she would have been disposable for Phibes, like just to kill, kind of thing. So
just somebody else in the way.
Yeah, so to make her like a bargaining chip, basically, between Phibes and him is where the plot goes. It would have been nice if there were scenes where she discovers the truth. Like she never really kind of discovers the truth. Like she, even at the end, she's kind of like clueless as to what actually is happening. Like she's like one of her last lines is something around of
it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world, and it's like. The last shot is actually of Robert Quarry like aging, like the serum's wearing off.
That always gave me a bad vibe. Like the way it was delivered, her line, the way she said it and stuff. It just seems so out of place, and not even funny way. Like it's just so out of place, and the way that she's like, she's like like it's one of those, kind of in her voice. Like I hated it. I always hated that line.
It was very off. Like you just.
It was completely off. The tonality of everything was not right.
And then right after you just see him decay, and there's no reaction to that. Like there's no.
Yeah, there's no reaction. Yeah, exactly.
It was poorly done. Like the end.
It is. Everything feels rushed and cut, and like it feels like
writing.
Feels like a lot of stuff was left on the floor. Like and I mean, we have a Peter Cushing cameo here.
Oh, God.
And I mean, this is right at the period where Cushing's wife died.
Right.
And he was just, he didn't have, his heart was not in doing movies. So he's got a brief cameo here. And God damn, is that unfortunate, because when he's
the best actor in the whole film.
When he shows up, the fucking thing comes alive. And his character is proactive. Like he's like, people are dying on my ship. I'm going to find out what the fuck's happening. And it's like, yeah, okay, this movie's picking up. It's going to be Peter Cushing trying to figure out what's going on between Dr. Phibes.
Oh, yeah, that would have been great.
And that would have been a great fucking movie. That would have been like, oh shit, this is like a Stone Cold classic.
Robert Quarry's just billowing out, like everyone's just like telling him and yelling at him. He's like, I'm sorry, but I'm in charge here still. I'm the captain, asshole.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, I would love it to see. I mean, and then all he does is he just does another tongue-in-cheek joke at the end of it. I was like, you wasted Peter Cushing on this?
It looked like, oh yeah, that part looked like it would have been so good. Like it just something, like just completely derail something, anything. Like there's so much authority with his character, and then it just dwindled away.
That's kind of funny because, like, if you watch the first one, the jeweler is such a great dynamic character they do nothing with. But I always liked his acting and the inflections and the kind of, like, said the vigor he had. And the same thing with Peter Cushing in this one. He's just a bit character. He comes in, but he steals the show.
I mean, he totally steals the show, and I feel like I don't have a problem with this movie being campy, right? Like I'm fine. Up the camp, make it more silly, make it more in tune with what Vincent Price does as an actor. Cool. But the whole Peter Cushing thing is centered around that segment where the big joke is that the drunk guy gets killed and stuffed into a gin bottle.
Yeah. Did he hit the bottle?
Yeah. And it's just like, oh God, like that would have been fine as a joke if Peter Cushing continued on to the next act of the film.
Right. But that's it. That was the big climax.
Yeah, it's just like, oh no, Peter Cushing was going to get to the bottom of this, but he doesn't. And now we're in fucking Africa, in Egypt.
Yeah, ta-da. Well, this movie, one thing I tell you is the first time I've ever seen this. Right at the beginning, after the Vincent Price segment got done, I was watching the two guys, Corey and the other guy, and I'm like, all I can see is Brian Cox. But at the same time, I could see Brian Cox playing both of these characters, either or. Like it would fit well, either one of these. I'm just like, I got get Brian out of my head.
I'm kind of on board for like a Dr. Phibes remake. Make a new Dr. Phibes series. It doesn't have to be movies. It could be like a Netflix series. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But I mean, there is so much good stuff in here, and like there were stories made afterwards. Like the dude who was writing this stuff wrote like novels and shit afterwards of Dr. Phibes. Apparently, make it a series, please. Like fucking make it. Do something
and
with
have
it,
like a proper storyline for what's her face, Volnavia.
Yeah, because she's just back, right?
Even if she is an animatronic, at least give it a definitive backstory.
Okay, so you would have to make Carolyn. You'd have to replace Carolyn Monroe in my version with someone older that is more closer to Vincent Price's age in the whole sort of timeline. But wouldn't it be better if Volnavia was the animatronic recreation of their daughter that he uses as a minion? That would be just kind of creepy and weird.
It would make sense, too.
And it would make sense that you have Volnavia come back after being burnt to death by acid in the first film. Yeah.
Oh, no, she wasn't shot. She was just burnt by acid.
Yeah, she was burnt. But so, like, her coming back is weird because it fits in the context of she's an animatronic thing. That he just makes a new one, right? But But here it's like, no, all of a sudden she's like something he brought back from the dead somehow. He could do that, but he can't bring his wife back from the dead.
Like magically brought her back. Like all of a sudden just appears. Like he's been sleeping for 3 years and her body was upstairs. He was downstairs. And like the whole thing got torn apart and destroyed and everything got stolen. Like you think they take her body because, evidence of what happened.
Or she wasn't dead and they basically, she would have a fake mask that you take off and see just the skull, later, just like he is.
Oh, that would be so cool too, right? Like
that would have made more sense too.
If she's walking around wearing a mask like the fucking animatronic band that he has, because he employs that band, right? Like he has those things as a trap for one of the people he kills with the sandblast kill.
Yeah.
Which I should just open up. Like, what are your guys' favorite kills in the film?
Oh, I would definitely, especially for gore and stuff too. I'm definitely a big fan of the Falcon, the kind of golden eagle kill.
Oh, I totally thought of you as soon as I saw that kill.
Yeah, that's my probably favorite.
What's yours, Lee?
I really liked when she was seducing him and his arms got trapped and then he put the key in the dog and then he's like, oh, I have to get the dog, and then breaks it and then there was like scorpions that came out. Like it was just such a...
If he would have just waited there, they would have found him anyway and he would have been fine. Yeah, it's one of those kind of deals. So you're horny and impatient. Good for you.
Yeah, because because I was talking about Paul about this off screen. It's like they had the opportunity to make this a little bit sexier, because they do have the you can see Diana's silhouette in the tent as she's taking clothes off, and then there's like the two helpers, and one of them's like super horny, like, and then the other guy's like, "You don't need that trouble," and he's like, "Oh, this is the kind of trouble I can handle," like. I get a piece of her, I'd be fine. And then he sees Volnavia, and she seduces him and takes him to the scorpion trap.
I wasn't a huge fan of Volnavia in this one. I don't know. I preferred the other Volnavia in the first one.
Well,
I don't know.
Again, he has a weaker dynamic. She doesn't have that kind of almost comical sidekick dynamic like the first one. Well, the kill that always bothers me, and it's not technically the kill that did it. It was the setup for the kill, because boa constrictors don't have fangs, and like I hate when they keep having non-venomous snakes act like they have, like every snake has fangs.
Yeah,
they have recurve, like he could have it bit it and scrape the skin like a lot of teeth scraping. That would have been fine. And he runs and it gets a spike through his ear. But this whole fucking every snake's got fangs. The boa constrictor, asshole. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was.
I was wondering about that too, because as soon as I saw the snake they used, I was like, I don't know if this is a venomous snake.
No,
yeah,
of course
but
not.
they play it like it, right? Because he immediately cuts a slit open in his arm where he was bit and tries to suck the fucking venom out, which is
because he leaves when the snake hits him. They leave 2 fang marks. I'm like, that's not right. That's not even close.
No.
I know we're not all Steve Irwin, but that's not even slightly right. So let's come on now.
And you really got to like suspend disbelief in this one more so than the first film, because this one, it's like Dr. Phibes has like this almost like preternatural ability to know what's going to happen with his fucking kills. Like, so he puts this like fake mechanical shit on the snake that he sends after that dude and tricks him to thinking, okay, this is a robot snake. It can't actually hurt me. And then it bites him, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, why couldn't they? I mean, obviously you couldn't use a king cobra because that's from India. But if you use like a monocle rock cobra, like a monocle cobra or something like that, or an Egyptian cobra, which makes sense, the monocle Egyptian cobra, and defang it, obviously, because obviously you have to have it to be safe. But like use that because you're going to be going to Africa anyway. Like this the setup there. Like they don't even have boa constrictors in Africa.
No, cobra works way better.
Yeah. And everyone knows that has fangs.
It just bugged me. I was just saying, like, that scene actually bugged me too, just how they dealt with it. Because you can even see, like, as soon as you see the snake, you're like, I'm not even there. This is not even high quality. And I can see that's a real snake. Like, it just really bugged me. Like you said, you really have to, like, suspend disbelief. Because you clearly see it. And even the snake, like, he had to destroy it before he saw the mechanics. And this one had the mechanics on top of it. Like,
yeah,
I was really confused. The snake scene was just one of those. And if I had a bunch of snakes, I wouldn't be in there trying to smash them. I'd just run out of the fucking room. Like,
that's what I do too, right? So how did he know the guy was going to pick up the phone? So
well, that's the thing is, it's such a crazy ass setup. It really stretches the disbelief. Like it's an extremely long setup to get to that point when you could have just had the animatronic snake kill him.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was going to be, like an animatronic snake that still bit him and was still like able to have some sort of venom or some sort of poison because they could do something with that. So him being like, oh, it's just animatronic and still bite him, it would have been better than.
Why? I mean, like honestly, why not? Why not have an animatronic snake that makes no fucking sense that's not even venomous because you're a fucking retard, and just have someone call the phone.
Oh, there you go.
When he picks it up,
yes,
it goes through his fucking head.
Go to a shot of Volnavia dialing a number.
Yes.
And then the guy runs in. He's escaped the snake. It's fine. He's running into the other room. And then the phone rings. You see a shot of Volnavia ringing them, and he picks it up, go, hello, and then...
That was a pretty cool death, because especially when you think it's going to be the snake, and then that happens. I did have a good laugh at that.
Although that would have to be like a telescopic spike, right? Because that was way longer than the receiver of the phone.
Yeah,
like,
way longer. That just doesn't even... Yeah.
It was like... confined and then expanded.
You know what would work if it was one of those the old ones where the speaker's on the thing and you got to put your head to it, like the old style one. Yeah.
there's so many like this weird little problems with this film.
The fan. The fan!
Oh, the fan.
God, the fan scene drove me absolutely bonkers. Like, it was just this large fan, which I don't know how was being powered. Like, they're in the desert, and there's this massive fan. Like, I don't understand where this power for this fan's coming. And honestly, like, the size of the fan, in order to create a storm for all these tents, and all they're doing is going like this with it, I have felt a fan on me, and it literally is like, oh, hey, it stopped. Oh, hey, there it is again. And then for the guy to go in and, like, I know he's all bundled up in his sleeping bag, but how do you not feel somebody tying you up? He was not even asleep because he was 2 minutes later, they came and tied him up. We're talking about horse tranquilizers with the other girl.
Well,
this is like...
I mean, we don't even have to go for how do you not notice someone tying you up? How do you not notice a giant mechanical device built around your bed that's no longer just a cot?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Phibes goes to lengths that he should not be able to do in this because he is desperately like rushing to Egypt to beat this guy to get his key back to unlock the gate to this river and bring him and his wife back to life. He has had no time. He's just come back to life. He has had no time to, set this shit up.
Yeah, but there's already caves with sliding doors in it and vast halls already set up. Like it's just
He did say he was preparing for years before this.
But
mentions it really quickly.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's preparing in a tomb that already had like preset traps and stuff that he was not aware of, like stuff that the key fit in that he was not aware of beforehand. So like there's there's stuff that was set up that he's just like benefiting from that he could have fallen victim to as easy as any of these people could have fallen victim to. Like there's so many holes in this, and if it wasn't for the fact that the actors are so fucking good, I'd be shitting all over this movie. I'd be like, oh my god. But I mean, I like overall, I actually did still enjoy watching it, but I totally agree with you, Lee. The first movie's way better. Right. This movie's super ambitious, right? Like we're going to globetrot. We're going to set up Phibes as more of an anti-hero. We're going to like kind of put almost kind of James Bondy kind of spy gadget kind of thing into it. And it's going to be more of an adventure film. And you can see like they're thinking, we're setting up for a third. We're setting up for a fourth, maybe even kind of thing, right? And it never happened. And I think the fact it never happens because this is so cheaply put together and like the production behind it's so bad that no one wanted to really watch another one.
Yeah.
The one death scene, I think that I just remembered it. Like I pretty much forgotten it. Was the one on the boat where Vincent Price just comes up and like starts strangling him. I just remember seeing that, and the whole thing happens so slowly. Like, this is an older guy, and you don't even think to do anything, like move or anything. Like, there's no fight, there's no struggle, and just one hand on the neck, super slow.
He's a 60-year-old alcoholic. He can't do nothing. Like his whole character thing is like, yes, I'm the dude's like sidekick or whatever, but I'm an alcoholic and I can't do shit.
But so like just I don't know. There's no build up. It was just so slow. I don't know. I was expecting so much more. Like there should have been more, right? Because the other kills are so graphic, right? And so elaborate. Hold on a second. There was like a whole fan and a made up cot and like a dog with a key and scorpions in it. Like,
I mean, I guess you could argue Phibes wasn't planning to kill this dude. I guess, like he was just like, oh, this guy's useless.
But he had the gin bottle that somehow managed to go around him?
That was like part of like some sort of weird like advertising thing that was because it was like the gin bottle actually like was about like it looked like some big fucking pre-made ad thing. I can't explain why that happened, but it's there, right? Because you get a shot of that gin bottle with like.
Oh, there's definitely the ad, but that had
two statues next to it or whatever. Like it was like this elaborate fucking gin brand ad or something with the
product placement.
Yeah, I guess. It's so bizarre. Like that guy, he goes down to the lower decks of the ship and he finds Phibes' animatronic band. He finds his wife suspended in animation, the lovely Carolyn Monroe, just standing there doing nothing.
With this glass Rolls Royce coffin. I mean, that is just woo. Okay.
I just wanted her to come back to life. What that would have been.
I'm
great.
mad that she never came back to life. Like we spent 2 movies just watching her being dead or suspended animation. Yeah, you do feel cheated. Like even at the end when they're going to the river, I'm like, oh wait, are we gonna get her? Is she gonna come up? Like I would be cool if they even just went over to her and her eyes opened. Like I would have been cool with that. Like anything. Like I just felt like it was the biggest tease. Like there was just so much to build up, and then there's just not a release.
Yeah. This is not nearly as good as the first one, but it's still all right. Like I wouldn't say it's actively bad or anything. Like it's fun.
I had a hard time staying focused on this one.
Well, I mean, like you could say like if I had it rated out of 10, be like, yo, Phibes is a 9. Phibes Again's like a 5, like a 6.5.
Yeah,
7.
That's kind of where I'd sit it, right?
There's way worse films, but it's still not as good.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Because I like the performances. Like, there's redubbing done here, like, where Phibes, like, you can see where the production problems come into play. Where there's times where Phibes is not connected to his gramophone device, and he's still talking.
Yes!
And then, but I mean that is depicted the way it's depicted. I'll give them credit. They try to fit it in as him thinking stuff, like you're kind of getting into his mind, but at the same time it doesn't fit the narrative film because you're not supposed to be really in his mind. He's supposed to be proclaiming things, right? But that was redubs, right? Like that was, they cut shit out. There was problems in production where they had to have Vincent Price come back in and do overdubs on that shit to like explain plot points and stuff.
But yeah, they'll have this big gramophone lid, and he'll have to move it around when the guy's walking around the room, but they'll forget that.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, like the girl's carrying it. I thought she was gonna play it, like play the trombone or play the. I don't even know what it is. Like it just looked like it because it still had like the spout, and she's just standing there. And I obviously figured out it's just for like the sound, but I really just want her to start playing it. Just break out in tune.
Did you see the bagpipes where the bagpipes are out there on the top of the mountain with the big Johnny the English flag going up there? Just the whole deal. I'm like, yeah, but bagpipes started in Rome, and I don't understand it.
The only thing I had with that was I don't know if the English are really associated with bagpipes.
No, it's more Irish Scottish, but from what I understand, that might probably someone's going to check me on this shit if they listen.
Well,
I'm not sure.
That part of it is too. I was going to say bagpipes started in Rome, that kind of thing, but But I understand what you're saying there. But gramophones are not that loud.
No.
No,
Dr. Phibes has it's almost a sci-fi movie in a way because Phibes has technology that he just could not have in the 1920s. Phibes, outside of him being resurrected, of course, he basically has a Google Home in Egypt because he walks into walks into that shit and he's like lights, music, and they respond to his voice basically, right?
Yeah, boudoir. He's got a DVD. He's got a Blu-ray player and everything hooked up already, so we're good.
Yeah,
and a generator, just back pocket, out to produce electricity.
Although
the pyramids do that anyway.
Oh yeah, they're created by ancient aliens, so the technology was already there, right?
And some sort of crazy turbo thing in the car that caused a sandstorm.
Yeah.
Which there was no door on that car, so wouldn't you just move to the side?
I mean, you could.
It was such a tiny hole too. Like it was the tiniest hole, and it's literally okay, why don't you just lean against the dash so you're the sand goes past you, it doesn't even touch you.
Some amazing things can come out of tiny holes. But, the thing is, there's no door in the goddamn car. Move to the side.
So, it's a similar death to the one in the first one, right, where the guy freezes in the car. No. But did he got locked in the car, right? So he couldn't.
I mean, I don't really think he did, honestly. When I watched that first one, he's just like, I'm so scared and feeble. I just don't know what to do, by golly.
Yeah, I just kind of like shocked. But this like literally just got hit in the face, and it's just move this side a little. You could just duck under even if there was a door. Like there's the other one was the whole car got frozen.
Yeah, exactly.
This was like this tiny little hole making sand come out. Okay, well once the sand's in, it's fine. Like
yeah, it's a cool kill. Think of the logistics. Just lock the doors of the car before he goes in. Like this,
honestly, if they used the car with the doors on it, let's just say, but they're in the desert, so they wouldn't anyway. But if he shut the door and saw something outside, and then tried to get it, and he could see him fighting with the door, he couldn't get the door, and he punches the window, but he couldn't open the window. Yeah, and then the vents start doing that. Then that would all make sense.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, there's so many like holes in this, right? Like, it gets to the point where you can't suspend disbelief a lot of the times, and it hurts the film overall. I think
they tried too hard with the clever deaths, because like the last movie, the deaths. They
did. And although I will say, I did really get a big kick out of Phibes eating fish. where he put the fish into his neck like he was drinking in the first film, and he brings a fish bone out of his neck.
I just love how he eats out of the whole, like all of that, and it just makes me think, I'm like, well, he has no taste buds. Like, there's nothing.
Well, you don't know that when you look at him
in his throat.
Well, when you look at him without his mask on, he's still got some flesh on his face. And you could kind of assume like he can talk, so his tongue can still probably.
But it's in the back of it doesn't even like it goes down. It passes the tongue.
Well, you get a little burp action. It'll come up, waft around the palate a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all
his teeth must be terrible if he can't open his mouth.
It's all sci-fi bullshit, but it's Vincent Price hamming it up. I'm gonna fucking go.
It comes on a DVD with both films, so if you buy the good one, you also get this one.
There you go. So, I did watch this. I did watch this one as a kid. I do remember it because, like, when I saw the ending, I'm like, I have seen this. I think because I didn't enjoy it, I didn't remember it because I could remember a lot of details in the first one.
I think Indiana Jones did it better. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, it really has connections that.
Dr. Phibes Rises Again is a poor choice.
Yeah,
you have chosen poorly.
So at the end of this movie, set in 1928, Phibes sings "Over the Rainbow," first recorded in 1938. In later prints and the video version, a scene featuring Vincent Price singing "Over the Rainbow" is removed, supposedly for copyright reasons. DVD release of 2001 restores the Vincent Price sung "Over the Rainbow." As I mentioned, there was a lot of hostility between Vincent Price and Robert Quarry, particularly when Price discovered that AIP was planning on replacing him with Quarry as their major horror star. At one point, when Price discovered Quarry singing opera, Quarry said, "I'll bet you didn't know I could sing, did you?" To which Price replied, "Well, I knew you weren't a fucking actor." Yeah. So this was the second of a planned trilogy. The third film would have featured Phibes fighting a group of Nazis or searching for the Key of Olympus. Amongst the titles mentioned for the film included Phibes Resurrects, The Seven Fates of Dr. Phibes, or The Brides of Dr. Phibes. Proposed stories included Phibes being the subject of an elaborate revenge plot by Dr. Physalis' son from the first film, and Victoria being resurrected from the dead, but becoming deranged homicidal maniac, far worse than her husband. Reportedly, a large number of sequel scripts written, all exploring different ideas, were made. There was also a plan to bring Dr. Phibes to the small screen with a TV series in which a reformed Phibes fought crime in the 1980s. An updated Phibes film was proposed as well. Unfortunately, Price's departure from AIP and AIP's subsequent change to focus on films which would be of a more exploitation grindhouse fare meant the third film was never made, and so that kind of ended there.
Wouldn't that be weird if it was there was I always thought they would do like what was it? I'm trying to think Gilgamesh or something like that. They had the power of bringing back the dead with some staff back in the Bible or something. But there was one, it would be like Mrs. Phibes Must Be Destroyed. Kind of like, like the creep, Frankenstein must be destroyed, but like, so it's Phibes trying to protect the wife, but the wife's a maniac, and then they both die in a fire, and then everything's better, that kind of thing.
That'd be a good storyline, right? Like he spent all this time trying to bring her back, and he brings her back, and he brings her back wrong.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and he has to work. He has to deal with the folly of his ways.
And Fred Gwynn comes in, but like down that road is old Pet Cemetery.
Sometimes dead is better.
Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah, up in the old Pet Cemetery. Yeah. At one stage, American International Pictures planned to revive Count Yorga from Count Yorga Vampire as an adversary for Dr. Phibes. I don't know if this is true or not, but sounds kind of cool. Plan was dropped, but Robert Corey, who plays Count Yorga, appears in this film. Yeah, so maybe that was something that had in the works between this and the first film. I don't know. I kind of feel like Robert Corey was probably against it anyway because he doesn't like Vincent Price. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Scenes involving Beryl Reid and Terry Thomas were cut from the original print due to arguments between the producers. Vincent Price had to be recalled to record additional dialogue to cover the gaps this created in the plot. This is the reason why Phibes says so many lines while not wired up to his speaker. And there you go.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Don't have any budget stuff for this. I don't think it did as well as the first Phibes from what I can see, but releases on this, there's at least 3 copies I saw on YouTube that you can check out. One of them you need to avoid because it only actually comes out in one speaker. Like whoever fucking uploads the YouTube, it only comes out in one fucking speaker, and they
there you go.
Up. Yeah, that fuck you.
Vincent Price, he didn't have the technology the Phibes had.
Yeah.
A gramophone sounding better than like home theater system.
That's mono, man. That's mono.
Yeah. As far as Blu-rays goes, it's in the Vincent Price collection. There's an Arrow Blu-ray of this. There's no like single Blu-ray still, like I mentioned, the first one of the first Dr. Phibes, interestingly enough.
Because I know it didn't do as well.
No, the first
Dr. buy one, buy the other.
No, the first Dr. Phibes did well. I'm saying this one has the Blu-ray. The first.
Well, maybe that.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Do you think there's any kind of licensing issues going on with that, holding it back?
I can't think of what it would be.
Bought the rights after.
Maybe it's the Somewhere Under the Rainbow shit. Maybe I don't know. I mean, it appears in this film. I think it appears in the first. I don't know. There's just so many shit with AOP films like getting spread all over the place too and getting bought up. I don't know.
Right.
You can also find it in iTunes, Amazon Prime, Vudu, and multiple old DVD editions. And like Paul mentioned, there's the MGM Midnight Movies collection where you can get it on a double DVD, which is probably your best buy bet, I would say, because you don't need to buy this on Blu-ray. You don't need this as a single thing. You just buy it with the other movie and enjoy them together.
Yeah. You get a conclusion as to what happens, but
if you enjoy enough beers during the first one, the second one will be better.
Yeah,
hey, there you go.
You'll fall asleep halfway through it and not even worry about it. Lady Lee, where can people find you on the interwebs or anywhere else?
I have a movie, an action movie, probably just as bad as this movie.
I don't know about that.
On YouTube. It's on YouTube. Go Fever Kick. Go search it. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Paul, where can people? Yeah, in here. Paul, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Well, just the YouTubes. Go to the YouTubes, PA Brew News, and then Facebook. Oil Paintings by P. Ramaley. Instagram, Oil Paintings by P. Ramaley. And some Maniacs Meat stuff. There you go.
Mm-hmm. And buy his paintings. They're really good.
Buy my paintings. I need money.
They're really nice.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, you can find us at tmbdos.podbean.com, where you can find all of our other podcasts that we do, including the main They Must Be Destroyed on Sight, Cape Shit, Blood on the Tracks. Every once in a while, some other odds and ends pop up there. And, thank you, guys. This was a lot of fun. And thank you, people, for listening. And we'll be back when we're back. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
listening to They Must Be Destroyed on Sight. For further episodes, our Apple Podcasts, Facebook, and YouTube links, please go to tmbdos.podbean.com. Thank you. Drive through.